How are we doing? Thanks for watching. This is part 2, or video number 2, episode 2, that's the word I'm looking for, of a new side section to my channel where I'm trying to bring in influences from other photographers, new and old, see how they can influence our photography and we can learn from how they do things, and sort of not just YouTubers but old school photographers from the 40s, 50s, 60s, that sort of thing as well, and other people in other influencers off Instagram and stuff like that, trying to learn and share information and hopefully learn along the way. Before we get into the video, I need your feedback. Let me know what you think. I'm trying to spice up the lighting a little bit, so I'll switch this light off. Let me know what you think. Better? What about this? Too much? Let me know what you think of the new lighting. I'll leave it like this for this video and see how we get on, and let me know what you think, whether or not I need to end the blue light. Hopefully it's not too tacky. Let me know in the comments anyway. But yeah, before we get cracking, first video I featured Fabian and Dan Goody, two friends of mine, agreed to be the guinea pig for the first episode. And now I knew Dan Goody's image and my edit of his image would be pretty similar because we have a kind of similar style for editing, but Fabian, I knew that he'd spend a lot more time editing his photograph, and I 100% agree with everybody who left a comment saying they preferred Fabian's version of his own photograph, and I do as well. Much better, much cleaner, he got rid of loads, obviously spent a lot of time editing the photograph, but yeah, I much prefer his version of his own image, and that obviously makes you realise that photographers have an idea of what they're going to achieve when they take a photograph. They don't just sort of butcher the life out of it and just see what happens. So yeah, he obviously had an idea of what he was going to get rid of in the photograph and stuff like that. So other thing I wanted to mention as well is this book I've picked up, Mastering Street. Really good book actually. It's by Brian Lloyd Duckett. It's one I've had in my Amazon basket for a while, so I'll put a link to the Amazon to this on Amazon if you want to pick it up. But what I wanted to mention is I've been going through a few books just to see what ideas people have and stuff like that. But in this book, it actually mentions, here we are, page 70, develop a project mentality. Now I think that's a really good idea, and something that I've mentioned once or twice in my early videos for people who are new into street photography, and certainly how I got into street photography, is find a project, find something that you can sort of, a theme almost. Every time you go out with the camera, kind of take obviously some random snaps as well, but have an idea of the sort of photographs that you want to try and get. It could be a colour, could be lines, could be symmetry, whatever it is. Could be like rainy days, umbrella shots and stuff like that. But yeah, I think over a period of time, I think you're going to be able to collate a really strong portfolio of themed images, and I think that would work really well. And I definitely want to give sort of the rainy umbrella shot theme a go when we get back out of lockdown. So yeah, anyway, I'll jump over, have a look at that book, let me know what you think, and drop some ideas for themes in the comments as well. Share some ideas if you've been out doing some themes with your photography, your street photography. Let me know what ideas and what themes work for you. But yeah, it should be cool. Other thing I wanted to mention was the Facebook group. That was it. Jump over and join. There's already a fair few members joined in the Facebook group, Street Photography Creatives, and it's really good. It's about sharing ideas, but it's about taking critique and telling people what you look for in an image. Sharing images obviously, but telling people what drew you to take that image, as opposed to just putting some pretty pictures up. Because what I want people to do is be able to learn from their photography and learn from others, learn from critique. Don't be afraid to get critique. Don't be afraid to give critique, because it's the only way you learn. You don't learn from getting, oh, that's a lovely photograph, next. You don't learn anything from that. But if somebody asks you to explain why you use that particular shutter speed, or why is that blurry, or how have you edited it, that sort of thing, you're going to learn, and you're going to help others learn as well. So that's the aim for that group, so do jump over and check that out. Brilliant. So in this video we've got two photographs, one from a guy called Paul Johnson, not the YouTuber Paul Johnson, a guy who I've actually been doing some online workshops with him for the last couple of months during lockdown, so thanks for Paul for that. It's been really good. Actually, I've learned stuff as well, so it's been really good. So he sent me a DNG RAW file for me to look at. And Mark Fernley, a lot of you will know the absolute legend that is Mark Fernley. Phenomenal influence to me, great street photographer, so he sent me one of his images as well. Now, in all honesty, I know I like that image of Mark Fernie, so I kind of know what he's done with it, but I haven't seen it for a while. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll have a look at my edits of these images, and then I'll put the original photographer's edits up at the end of the video, and we can see how different they are. And yeah, we'll get stuck in anyway. Really like this image from Paul Johnson. It's a really nice photograph, and it's one of the ones that he mentioned in the workshop we did online, and it's a really high contrast scene, but I just like this framing. I love these lines. I love this shadow, how it zigzags through here. I wish that person was kind of on the edge of the shadow or just coming into the shadow or something, so they're a bit more into the scene. But the detail and everything around it is absolutely fantastic. This is Blackfriars Bridge in London, and that of course is St Paul's Cathedral in the background. Now he's shot this in JPEG. No, he's not. He's shot this in RAW, and we can see the histogram on the right hand side. It looks like it's clipped on the right hand side here, but it's a RAW, so we'll hopefully be able to pull that back. His shutter speed is 1/570th of a second, so very fast, but his aperture is 1.7. I know he shoots with a Fujifilm and a Micro Four Thirds. I think it's an Olympus camera, so 1.7, double that on full frame equivalent, so you're talking around about f3, f2.8, f3, 3.2 perhaps, depth of field. But it's interesting that if you zoom in, St Paul's is relatively sharp, and so is the person in the foreground. So the depth of field he's got at 1.7, obviously due to the amount of light that's going on the background there, but all the railings around here, the ironwork's sharp. It's incredible at 1.7. But yeah, I definitely would have probably gone to around about f4, f5.6 for that sort of shot. He's got loads of room with the ISO, and obviously you can lift the ISO a couple of stops there, couldn't you, and just get a better depth of field. But I don't think it's interfered with the photograph at all. It's fine, surprisingly. So we'll do a basic edit on it now, and then we'll go over to Mark's. First thing I want to do is straighten it. Get that line there using the angle tool in Lightroom to straighten it. We're not going to crop it just yet. As I said, we'll try and leave bad habits alone. I want to drop the blacks. I'm not sure if this is colour or black and white, this photograph. I want to drop the blacks, and I want to up the contrast. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to bring the exposure down. Let's get the histogram right, see how much we get away with. So we could bring it all. We're actually able to recover it all, so it's incredible actually. But I tell you what, I'm going to have this black and white. I think it's inevitably going to be black and white, and that's going to help my edit. And this is where I say, when you're shooting, if you're going to shoot for colour, shoot for colour. If you're going to shoot for black and white, you need to set your camera up so you can see what you're going to end up with. Because I think this scene definitely works in black and white. And you'd have seen, if you'd have set your camera up high contrast, for example, like that. If you'd have set your camera up and took a recce shot without anybody in it, just point the camera at the scene, you'd have seen this lovely shape coming through here. And then you thought, well, hang on a minute, that needs to come into this corner. So I think shooting high contrast black and white when you think the end image is going to be black and white is really important. But I still really like the composition. So we'll bring the blacks back up. Don't want anything that high. Bring the whites back down. But we'll get the exposure right. I'm not going to touch the highlights and the shadows, but I do want some contrast. So I'm going to lift the contrast up for now and drop the blacks down a bit more. I think let's press Alt and lift the whites, and just to see, because that what's clipping there is in the middle is a tiny bit of the building or a sign or something. I'm not bothered about that, but I do want the background behind St Paul's to be white, because I want it to be a black and white photograph. I'm not bothered about the detail in the sky so much. If I drop the shadows, that's just going to crush everything, isn't it? I'll drop them a little bit because I want this really nice contrast. I just wish the lady was a bit further over to the right. And she's got trainers on which are white, which you could locally adjust in Photoshop and bring them back. I'll tell you what I don't like is this railing on the left hand side. Let's get rid of that railing. I'm cheating a bit because I don't want to do any cropping just yet. But I want to get the image balanced, and it just needs to be right on the edge. It's a shame about this railing, but it's really nice. So there's a bit of light coming in from the top left. If I put a grad over there, bring the grad down behind her. She now jumps forward a little bit. Let's lift the whites up there and the exposure up there. she's now coming more into the frame now. I don't even know why there's light coming in on that left-hand side of the frame at all, because I think the light's coming this side because you can see St Paul's dome is lighter on the right. So the light should be coming in here. I'm not sure if it's reflecting or what. But, okay. What I want to do now is another grad on this bottom, another grad on this bottom right. Just to brighten up the pavement a little bit, because I think that grey is a bit dull. Go there. Now let's go back into here and lift the whites. So you lift the exposure a bit, because as long as we're starting to clip St Paul's there, but what we can do is lift it and then go to the highlights and bring the highlights down slightly until we start to get St Paul's back. Once we've got St Paul's back, I'm going to leave the highlights alone. So that's minus 30. Alright, we'll leave that there and come back to that in a minute because it's starting to take shape. Mark's image. Okay, JPEG. He shot this at f3.2, 400th of a second, because obviously got people moving. I know Mark shoots aperture priority, and he's got the camera set to a minimum shutter speed, so it will never drop below a certain shutter speed, so he knows he's always going to get like motion frozen and stuff like that. His ISO is obviously on auto ISO, and his histogram is pretty much perfect, because the white area, which is here, you probably didn't need, you don't need that detail anyway, so letting that clip there isn't an issue on this photograph. In fact, if anything, I'm going to help it clip just by pushing it. If I press Alt, you can see that it's going. So that's now white in the background, which is what you need. You need that definitive black and white. You don't need to have that shadow detail in there. That's just not helping at all, so we'll get rid of that. What I'll do, now I know kind of how Mark edited this photograph, and it was really drawing me to it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the white balance, because as soon as you drop the white balance, it's gone really blue, and I love that. I think it's given a really modern theme to it. The only thing I wish, there was a bit of separation between that bloke's arm and these two blokes' arm. There's a lady on the left here. She's hardly in the photograph because she's so dark. So if we put a grad on there, just lift her up. There you go. She's now more in the scene. I might put a grad in the top left corner and darken that one, so it brings your eye back down to the photograph. I might darken the top right as well, just to give an extra bit of contrast there. Okay. Now I'm not going to crop it, but what I want to do is straighten up that line. So I think that line in the picture, I might be wrong, but I think that line needs to be straight. Now you've got this diagonal coming down here, which points, if you continue, it would point perfectly into the corner. Let's lift it up a little bit. I reckon I might come down a touch here as well. Oh, got to be careful because I'm losing that lady. Let's change the crop to a 5x7 and see. So I want this lady, she's a dead important part of the photograph. The tones of the umbrella. Really like that. Now I'm not going to do much else to it, I don't think. It just needs the exposure playing with a little bit, just to get a bit more, and perhaps the clarity, just to bring a bit more detail into the shot. See, I'm only touching the clarity very slightly, and you can see how much it's changing the photograph. And this is all coming out of a JPEG, so it just goes to show how powerful Fuji JPEGs are these days. Well, all JPEGs for that matter. Bit of texture. I'm not entirely sure what the texture is doing. I think it's probably going to bring out some of the detail in the buildings here. But I love the light catching that lady's face. I might lift the whites. And then drop the shadows, because I want a bit of a silhouette. Yeah, see the way the light's catching that lady's face there. Smart. I think I need to come in a little bit on the crop on the top right, because that is annoying me there. Or is it annoying me? Does it need to be there? I think it does. That bit at the top, I can't decide whether I need that in or out. Out. There you go. That's cleaner, isn't it? Got a lovely line going up there. Now I could obviously lift the shadows and see everything that's going on, but it completely ruins the photograph. But the mystery of having almost solid black silhouettes, and the fact that he's got that open white shirt just gives that detail that you need there. I'm wondering if I've messed up here, because it's a bit too bright. So let's press Alt and see. I've not clipped it. Yeah, okay. I've got the detail in the buildings back. I could, to bring that back, I could drop the highlights. That highlights is bringing all that shadow, all that detail that we've lost there. That's about right. I want it to go off into nothing, into the white, and there you go. Again, I don't think nothing else needs doing to this photograph. Tiny bit down, I just want it. Can I bring it over there? Yes, you can. Starting to lose the direction of that line there, though. That's what I'm not 100% on. But okay, the only thing on this I'm tempted to do is add vignette. I don't very often do this, but I think it does need something just to darken that top corner. There you go. Now, is that too blue? Let's go back up to the white balance. Is that too blue? There's really blue. Oh, do you know what? I actually really like the really blue. I mean, obviously that's stupid now, isn't it? But it just goes to show when you calm it down. I like the blue. Just dropping it and dropping it and dropping it. I know. I'm in two minds whether I like that blue, but I don't know. Oh look, Tower Bridge. I know where it is now. Tower Bridge. I've never been to this location. Now I can't decide as well whether or not she's annoying me in the background, whether or not I'd and that door. Yes, I would definitely Photoshop that lady and that door out. But that is it. Let's perhaps lift the whites up, get a bit more contrast. Press Alt again to make sure, yeah, he's starting to clip there. Yes. I think that's a really smart image now. Really smart. Let's go back to, how much have we cropped? We haven't cropped much. For a candid shot, it's really, really good. Let's bring that in a little bit more. And do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to darken. I'll put another grad in this corner and darken it. Bring it in a bit more. There you go. That's good. The only thing now I might do is go into Photoshop and locally adjust like the white. Again, you can do it in Lightroom here. Click on the adjustment brush. Click on his shirt. And then if you get rid of, there's the O, press O and you can see what it's doing. Just lift it up a little bit. Now press this at the bottom, then it'll show us what it's done. Very little actually. It's lifted the whites up. It's not doing much at all, is it? We'll leave it on because it adds a bit, draws your eye in a little bit more. But yeah, I think that's it. I like the blue. I can't decide if it's too blue. Yeah, calm it down a little bit. I do like it though. Really, really nice. I love the angles. Fantastic shot. Lovely lines. Yeah, very modern looking image that. I love that. Back to Paul's shot. I'm thinking, does this need a vignette? I worry about vignettes over light parts of it. No, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to leave it without the vignette. And I'm going to lift the exposure a touch as well because I don't really want to any detail in the sky myself. I'd rather have a nice clear white image. There's a bit of detail in there. Tiny bit of detail in the sky. Chop the shadows a touch more. Blacks a touch more. And now I'm going to do a local adjustment brush on, make it smaller, just on the lady's face and trainers. Press O and you can see where it's done it. And then lift. Press O again. Just lift the whites, lift the exposure, and just toggle that on and off. Hardly doing anything on the trainers. Let's go back to the exposure. Back to the exposure. Lifting up a bit much now, I think. Right, she's in it, you can see her. Okay. I just want her over a bit more to the right. Desperately want her over to the right. I'll tell you what, let's do that. Let's have that line coming in there. There you go, that brings her in. There you go, I feel that balances more now. I feel that balances more. I'm going to leave it there. Histogram's right. A touch of clarity might actually bring out some more detail in the... There you go, look at that clarity, what that clarity's doing in the steel work. I like that. There you go. Nothing else. I'm not going to do anything else. Sharpening's on for default, but ignore that. Brilliant. My critique here would have been just to take an empty shot with no one in, just to see what the scene looked like, how it looked with all the light and shadow and everything. And I think what I'd have done is I'd have decided to go a portrait shot and have the camera over here. I'd have tried to get this line coming into the top right hand corner here and this light coming into the bottom right hand corner. Probably would have ended up with a frame similar to this. Still want some pulls in there, but I think it needed to have had the person around here or just going into the light here. Ideally, obviously closer to the railing, but yeah, just to balance it a bit more, because I think there's definitely some... It's a fantastic shot as it is, but I just really think there's such an amazing shot, shape in that light there we could have used. Yeah, and I think if the person was here, or obviously lower down here or here, but portrait for me would have... I think would have balanced the photograph a little bit better. I think that is it. Right, I'll leave it there. Let's go back to the library and have a look now. Yeah, I really like the blue of Mark's image. Really do. It's super cool. Super cool. I might duplicate it actually. I'll do create a virtual copy. And I'm going to do a normal white balance shot as well. And I just don't like... I'm going to suck that green out. I'm going to go down to selective colour and bring out that green. I'll tell you what, let's just make it black and white. Let's make it black and white. Let's leave it black and white. So we've got the black and white one, and we've got that... Ah, it looks too blue now, doesn't it? Ooh. Yeah, let's calm the blue down a bit. There you go. Alright, let's have both of them. Yeah, let's have both of them. Can't decide, black and white or blue, let me know. Let me know, black or white or blue. Don't know, I really like that blue, but it's not an edit I've ever done before. But yeah, I think I prefer the blue. Different, very different. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think. Of course, I'll put the original photographer's images up next to mine now so we can see how it looks. I'm excited to see how Mark's... I can't remember, I haven't seen it for a while, so I'm excited to see how different mine and Mark's look. But yeah, I know again Mark spends a lot. I think he edits them on his phone. Is it Mark who edits them on his phone? I'll have to ask him and let you know in the comments if Mark actually edits all his photographs using either an iPad or a phone or something, hence the JPEG shooting, I don't know. But yes, as I say, join the Facebook group. I'll put a link to that in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you took something from it. If you'd like to feature your images in the video, I've set up an email address, which I'll put a link to in the bottom if you want to send over some RAWs, and I can look through some of the photographs. Send me the RAW, send me your edited version as well. I won't look at the edited version, I'll just look at the RAW, and then I'll collate some together and we'll put them in a video and stuff like that. So yeah, perhaps send over your best shots and stuff, but obviously it's all about, don't be afraid to take critique and stuff like that. But yeah, join the Facebook group, chuck me over a few RAWs if you want to feature your images in a video as well. But yeah, it's all about learning. But I hope you enjoyed the video. That's an interesting one now. I'm looking forward to seeing how Mark's look. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.